Okay, I'm posting this because I can't stand the silence in my apartment anymore. I'm sitting on the floor surrounded by half-taped cardboard boxes, and his favorite coffee mug is sitting on the counter, clean. He must have washed it before he left. The thought alone makes me want to throw up. The only sound is the hum of the refrigerator, a noise I never noticed in 4 years because he was always here, filling the space with his quiet presence or his god-awful singing along to the radio. So here it is. I think I just single-handedly destroyed the best thing in my life, and the worst part is, it was over a stupid, insignificant argument that I can't even properly recall. So please, Reddit, tell me I'm the monster. Tell me what I already know, because I need to hear it from someone else to believe it's real. His name is Jackson. For 4 years, he was my anchor. My entire life is a high-stakes, high-stress climb up the corporate ladder, a constant storm of deadlines and ambition. He was the calm eye of that hurricane. A genuinely good man, the kind of person who would bring me soup when I was sick, even if I'd been a total bitch to him the day before because a project went south. He was the person I was supposed to cherish, to protect. Instead, I'm the reason he's gone. I'm the reason this place is so damn quiet. To understand how we got here, you need to understand the map of our lives. They were drawn on completely different scales. My world is one of quarterly reports, performance reviews, and a relentless, gnawing pressure to climb higher. I'm a department head at a tech startup, and my calendar is a color-coded nightmare of meetings and product launches. I thrive on that chaos. Jackson's world is quieter. He teaches American history to teenagers who are more interested in their phones. His biggest professional drama is a kid who thinks Napoleon was a type of ice cream. He finds meaning in shaping young minds in the steady rhythm of the school year. I loved that about him. I truly did. It was the antidote to my own poison. But there was an ugly part of me, the part that my ambition built, that saw his contentment as a lack of drive. In my head, I framed it as wanting the best for him, but that was a lie. I wanted to mold him. He was this beautiful, solid oak tree, and I wanted to carve my initials into him. I'd push him to apply for administrative roles, send him links to corporate training seminars, and suggest he network more. I saw him as my beautiful, unfinished project. And when I felt cornered, when a deal fell through at work or my boss made me feel small, I'd bring that feeling home and use it on him. Our fights would start over nothing, me being late, him forgetting to buy milk, but they would always end in the same toxic place. I would go nuclear. I'd weaponize his life, his choices, his family. His father is a brilliant mechanic who has run his own garage for 30 years. His mother is the warmest woman I've ever met and manages a local diner. They are good, hardworking people who adore their son, and I used their lives as a punchline. Is this really all you want, Jackson, to end up like them? I'd sneer, knowing it would cut him deep. I'm out here trying to build an empire, and you're happy in your little sandbox. He never yelled back. He'd just get this look on his face, a shudder coming down, and he would absorb it. The next morning, he'd make me coffee, and I'd apologize, and he'd forgive me. And the most pathetic part, I mistook his incredible patience for weakness. I saw his forgiveness not as a Herculean effort to love me despite my venom, but as proof that my words didn't have consequences. I thought he was just too gentle to leave. I had no idea he was just quietly marking my transgressions, drawing a line in the sand that I was too arrogant to see. About a year ago, we had one of those rare, perfect nights. No work calls, no looming deadlines. We'd cooked dinner together, a simple pasta dish, and were curled up on the couch. The TV was off. I was probably complaining about some minor office drama, some perceived slight from a colleague. He listened patiently, as he always did, and when I was done venting, he was quiet for a long time. Then he turned to me, his expression more serious than I'd ever seen it. "Can I tell you something I've never told anyone before?" he asked, his voice low. And then he laid it all out. He told me about his father, not the proud, capable man I knew, but a younger version of him who had dared to dream bigger. He'd invested his family's entire savings into a business with a friend, a venture that was supposed to be their ticket to a better life. But the friend was a con artist. The business was a sham, and overnight they lost everything. Jackson was 10. He described in painful detail the shame that blanketed his house like a thick layer of dust, the whispers from neighbors, the humiliation on his father's face. He told me about his parents working 3 jobs between them, the exhaustion etched into their bones, just to keep their family afloat. He said the most vivid memory of his childhood was watching his father, a man who could fix any engine, sitting at the kitchen table, unable to fix his own life, just staring at a stack of bills. "That's why I am the way I am, Riley," he said, his eyes searching mine for understanding. "It's why I value stability. It's why I don't need an empire." My father's only crime was wanting more, and it nearly destroyed us. My definition of success is a life where the people I love are safe and respected. He took my hand, his grip tight. "I am telling you this because I trust you. This is the deepest, most painful part of my family's story. It is the foundation of who I am." He paused, and his next words were a quiet, desperate plea. "You have to promise me. This can never be ammunition. Not when you're angry, not ever. It's not a weapon you get to use on me." I felt a wave of love and shame wash over me. Love for his vulnerability, and a deep, cutting shame for all the times I had flippantly attacked his values. "Of course," I whispered, pulling him close. "I promise. I would never." And in that moment, I meant it with every fiber of my being. I held the most fragile part of him in my hands, and I swore I would protect it. The final fight started, as they always do, over something laughably small. My company was hosting its annual awards gala, a glitzy, self-congratulatory affair that was, for me, the Super Bowl of corporate politics. It was a command performance. Being seen there with a supportive, handsome partner was part of the uniform. I'd told him about it weeks ago. "Hey, just confirming you've got your suit cleaned for Friday," I said, breezing into the living room, scrolling through emails on my phone. He looked up from the book he was reading. "Oh, damn. Riley, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot. I promised my brother I'd help him swap out the transmission on his truck this weekend. He has to get it done before Monday." I stopped scrolling. A hot, familiar prickle of anger started in my chest. It wasn't about the gala. It was about the choice. A greasy truck engine over me, his world over mine. "You're kidding me, right?" I said, my voice tight. "You'd rather spend your weekend covered in oil than support me at the most important event of my year." "It's not about that," he said calmly, putting a bookmark in his book. "It's a promise I made to my brother. We can celebrate your successes any other night." This is the only time he could do it. "The only time," I scoffed, the condescension dripping from my words. "Right, because family obligations in your world are so much more sacred. God forbid you prioritize the person building an actual future for us." He sighed, a deep, weary sound that should have been a warning siren. "Riley, not everything revolves around your career." And that was it. That was the spark on the gasoline. His quiet, reasonable statement felt like a judgment, an accusation. He was calling me selfish. He was belittling my world. All the stress from the past month, the pressure of a looming product deadline, the competition with a rival director, it all coalesced into a single point of white-hot rage. My brain, in that self-preservation mode it defaults to, scanned its arsenal for the deadliest weapon. And it found the one he had so trustingly handed me. I laughed. It was a cold, ugly sound. "You're right," I said, my voice suddenly low and steady, which was always so much worse than when I yelled. "How could I possibly expect you to understand ambition? In your family, business venture is just another way of saying bankruptcy, isn't it?" The words hung in the air between us, thick and radioactive. I saw the exact moment they landed. It wasn't a flinch or a flash of anger. It was a shutdown, a light going out behind his eyes. I had taken the most vulnerable part of his history, the story of his father's deepest shame, and I had turned it into a cheap, cruel insult to win a stupid argument about a party. In that moment, I hadn't just crossed a line, I had vaporized it. He didn't yell. He didn't scream or throw something. In a way, that would have been a relief. It would have been a fight, and fights can be resolved. This was an execution. The silence that followed my words was absolute. He just stared at me, but it was like he wasn't seeing me anymore. He was seeing the 10-year-old boy watching his father's world crumble. He was seeing the trust he had placed in my hands, now shattered on the floor. The warmth that was always in his eyes, even when we fought, was gone. It was replaced by a chilling, profound disappointment. It was the look you give a stranger who has just revealed themselves to be something monstrous. Finally, he spoke. His voice was unnervingly calm, devoid of any emotion. It was the voice of a judge reading a verdict. "You used it," he said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. My rage evaporated instantly, replaced by a cold, sickening dread. "Jackson, I didn't mean it." The words sounded pathetic even to my own ears. "You always mean it, Riley," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "You just don't always say it, but this was different. I gave you the key to the most fragile room in my house, and you walked in and set it on fire just to watch it burn." He stood up slowly, deliberately. "I told you that was the line. I told you. I can't build a life with someone who sees my family's pain as just another tool in her toolbox. I can't live waiting for the next time you decide to hurt me this badly." He walked past me towards the bedroom. There was no room for negotiation in his movements. It was over. I stood frozen in the living room, my heart hammering against my ribs, listening to the quiet sounds of him opening a drawer, the zip of a bag. It was the sound of my life being dismantled. A few minutes later, he walked out with a small duffel bag over his shoulder. He didn't even look at me. "We're done, Riley," he said, his hand on the doorknob. And then he was gone. The door clicked shut, and the silence he left behind was the loudest thing I had ever heard. For the first hour, I was just numb. Then the arrogance kicked in, my brain's favorite defense mechanism. "He's overreacting," I told the empty room. "He'll cool down and be back by morning." I sent him a text that was more indignant than apologetic. "You can't just walk out over one stupid comment. That's ridiculous." It didn't deliver. I tried again. Message failed. A cold knot of panic started to form in my stomach. I went to WhatsApp. His profile picture was gone. I tried to call him. It went straight to voicemail. He had blocked me, everywhere. That's when the real panic hit, a tidal wave of it. I started pacing, my mind racing. This wasn't his usual cool-down period. This was a wall, a complete and total severance. My hands were shaking as I dialed the one person I thought could fix this, our mutual friend Olivia. I launched into a frantic, tear-soaked monologue, painting myself as the victim of his dramatic, unfair exit. I carefully edited my version of the story, making my comment sound like a careless, heat-of-the-moment slip-up. Olivia listened to the whole thing without interrupting. When I finally ran out of breath, the line was silent for a long, uncomfortable moment. I expected sympathy, maybe an offer to mediate. Instead, what I got was a dose of reality so cold it felt like a slap. "Riley," she said, her voice flat and devoid of its usual warmth. "He told me what you said. The actual words." I felt my throat tighten. "Let me get this straight," she continued, her voice gaining a sharp, incredulous edge. "The man you claim to love shares the most traumatic story of his family's life with you. He literally begs you, 'Please, this is my deepest wound. Don't ever use it against me.' And at the very first opportunity, you take that exact information and you plunge it into his heart like a knife, just to win an argument about a fucking party. And now you're confused why he left." Her words hit me harder than any of Jackson's silence. She wasn't taking my side. She wasn't offering comfort. She was holding up a mirror, and the reflection was hideous. "You didn't just mess up, Riley," she said, her voice softening slightly, but not with pity, with a kind of sad finality. "You proved him right. All his insecurities about not being enough for your world, you confirmed them. You showed him that, to you, his deepest pain is just a cheap shot. What did you honestly expect him to do?" A week passed in a blur of unanswered calls, and the hollow echo of my own footsteps in the apartment. I finally accepted that he wasn't coming back. Not on his own, at least. I sent him a desperate, rambling email, the one communication channel he hadn't blocked, full of promises I wasn't even sure I could keep. It went unanswered. His brother came by that Saturday while I was out, using a key Jackson had given him, and quietly packed up all his things. I came home to find his side of the closet empty, his toothbrush gone from the holder, the worn-out history books gone from his nightstand. It was a systematic erasure. I was cleaning out that same nightstand, half-heartedly, fueled by a toxic mix of wine and self-pity. when my fingers brushed against a small, unfamiliar box tucked away at the back of the drawer. It was a dark velvet box from a local jeweler, the kind of independent place he loved to support. My breath caught in my throat. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of white satin, was an engagement ring. It wasn't some gaudy diamond I would have picked out to show off at work. It was simple, elegant, an ethically sourced sapphire. My birthstone, flanked by two small, sparkling diamonds on a delicate platinum band. It was perfect. It was so perfectly him. Tucked underneath the ring was a folded travel brochure. I unfolded it with shaking hands. It was for a 2-week guided tour of New Zealand, hitting all the spots from the Lord of the Rings movies. On our third date, I had drunkenly confessed that visiting Hobbiton was my ultimate nerdy bucket list dream. I had completely forgotten I'd ever said that. He hadn't. The sight of that ring and that brochure broke something inside me. It shattered the last of my pathetic, self-serving narratives. He wasn't holding me back. He wasn't threatened by my ambition. He was quietly, lovingly building a future with me, a future that included my stupid, nerdy dreams. He was planning to propose. And I, in my blind, stupid arrogance, had been busy tearing down the foundation of the very life he was trying to build for us. I had been complaining about the color of the paint while he was building the house. That was 3 months ago. The apartment is sold. I live in a sterile, white-walled box closer to the office now. It's more convenient. That's what I tell people. The truth is, I couldn't stand the ghosts of our laughter in the old place. I still excel at my job. I hit my quarterly targets. From the outside, I'm the same ambitious, successful woman. But on the inside, there's just a crater where my heart used to be. My life has shrunk to a pathetic, obsessive loop. Every night I tell myself I won't do it. And every night I fail. I lie in the dark, the blue light of my phone illuminating my face, and I perform the ritual of the heartbroken idiot. I don't look at his profiles. He blocked me and they're private anyway. No, my gateway to hell is his sister's Instagram. She posts pictures of their family. They're disgustingly wholesome. Last week it was a barbecue. Jackson was there in the background of a group shot, flipping burgers. He looked thinner, maybe a little tired, but he was smiling. A real smile, not the strained one he'd been giving me for the last 6 months of our relationship. Tonight, she posted a video. It's a short clip, probably from a family dinner. Jackson is sitting on the floor with his little nephew, patiently showing the boy how to form a chord on an old acoustic guitar. He isn't looking at the camera. He's completely focused on the small hands under his expression gentle, calm. He is back in the heart of that world I so arrogantly despised, the world that is loving him, healing him. He is home, and I'm out here in the cold looking in through a digital window. This is my punishment. Not a grand, dramatic explosion, but this quiet, endless scrolling. Watching the life I could have had, the life I threw away for nothing, unfold without me. Every happy picture is a fresh twist of the knife I plunged into his heart and my own. And the worst part, the absolute sickest joke of it all, is that I'm the one holding the handle.